Hi there, this is Pride Weekly. We'll start with Monday. Josh Cavallo, the Australian football player who came out as gay 2 years ago, has been naming and shaming his homophobic trolls. He's posted a selection of their insults on his Instagram, and the usernames are visible too. Comments include, "You will die," and "I hope you're disabled for the rest of your life." The Adelaide United player says social media platforms need to do more. He's received lots of love in response. Now, trolls are, of course, dead inside, and many of them smell. That's just a fact, so let's waste no more time on them. Instead, here's Josh telling ABC Australia how supportive his teammates were when he came out.
We had a huddle in the change rooms and everyone was getting emotional and teary, and it was absolutely crazy. Every single one of them gave me a hug, and I really felt the love in the room, and they said, "Oh, we couldn't be prouder of you. We're just sad that you had to hide it from us for so long. You couldn't be yourself and tell us the truth."
Next time you're being sick, don't automatically blame it on too many taboo and lemonades. It might actually be the spirit of homosexuality leaving your body. Don't you roll your eyes at me. A gay man from Sheffield in England says he was put through a conversion therapy session at a church there, pointlessly trying to straighten him out. It left Sylvester Harrison Moran so anxious he vomited, and he was told a demon had left him. St Thomas Philadelphia Church says this was a past practice from 10 years ago, which it's determined to learn from. And Cricket Australia says trans players can continue to take part in the women's game. Comes off the back of a ruling banning anyone who's been through male puberty from international competition, same as we've seen with rugby union, cycling, athletics and swimming. Cricket Australia is sticking to rules it put in place 4 years ago and says it'll continue to prioritise inclusion over science. It's Pride Daily for Tuesday. The Pope says same-sex couples and what he's calling irregular couples, nice, they can now be blessed by Roman Catholic priests. It's conditional under certain circumstances. The blessings can't resemble a marriage ceremony or be linked to weddings or civil unions, and the Vatican maintains it sees marriage as between a man and a woman. Priests can make decisions regarding same-sex blessings on a case-by-case basis. Scott Dibbles, a gay married Catholic politician in Minnesota in the US, ticking many boxes there. He tells the Care 11 channel the church is taking a significant step forward, but it's complicated.
That's a big breakthrough. That is a gigantic advancement. There's no denying that whatsoever. But it's mixed, of course. It is short of recognizing our marriages as fully valid, recognizing the fullness of our humanity as in the image of God.
The announcement reverses a previous Vatican ruling that God cannot bless sin. It's one of a number of measures by the Pope over his 10 years in the job to make the church more queer inclusive. The rights of same-sex parents could get legal recognition across Europe. Comes off the back of a new European Parenthood Certificate being approved by the EU Parliament. It would remove the threat of families being split up and make sure children have the same rights when it comes to education, healthcare and custody. And trans people in Indonesia are taking to the catwalk to raise awareness about their lives and plastic pollution. Their fashion shows in Jakarta feature outfits they've made with recycled bottles, bubble wrap and cutlery. Indonesia has a massive problem with discarded plastic waste. 4 of its rivers are among the 20 most polluted in the world. The shows highlight environmental issues and challenge perceptions of trans people. Being LGBTQ+ remains socially unacceptable in the country. It's Pride Daily for Wednesday. Absurd, dangerous and out of touch. Not just the general consensus about this podcast, it's also the response from LGBTQ+ charities to new transgender guidance for schools in England. The government says parents should be told if their child wants to change gender identity, so they'll be informed if pupils want to go by a new name, change their pronouns, or wear a different uniform. Plus, teachers are being told they can just disregard kids' chosen pronouns. The Gallup charity says the guidance will lead to dangerous situations. Jack, which isn't his real name, he tells Sky News being allowed to socially transition at school was essential for him.
The reason why it was so important at school for teachers to use my correct pronoun was just so I could focus on being at school and learning and interacting socially with my peers, as opposed to feeling like, oh no, I'm in an environment where I feel uncomfortable.
There's now a 12-week consultation on the guidance. Ghana's parliament's set to pass a new anti-LGBTQ+ law in the next day or two. The West African country plans to ban gay sex, same-sex marriages, and identifying as queer. And I'm not finished. Advocating for LGBTQ+ rights will also be illegal, as will gender-affirming surgery. The Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, whose name's not worth mentioning, says he's sick of the insanity and perversion of the queer community. And a schoolboy in New Zealand has used a prize-giving speech in front of 500 students and teachers to come out.
Since I was quite young, I've known that I didn't exactly fit in like everybody else. I knew that I was gay. Around 10 years have gone by since that realisation, and it's not till I'm standing up here in front of you all today that I actually say it out loud. So surprise.
Harry Dines from Blue Mountain College, courtesy of the New Zealand Herald. The 17-year-old's had a big build-up to this because he actually wrote the speech back in September. Says he was nervous till the day itself when he calmed right down, and now it feels like a weight off his shoulders. It's Pride Daily for Thursday. 2 teenagers have been found guilty of murdering a transgender girl in Cheshire in England. 16-year-old Brianna Jai was stabbed 28 times in the back, the head and the neck with a hunting knife. Happened in a park in Warrington last February in broad daylight. The killers, known as Girl X and Boy Y, were 15 at the time. The trial heard they had a fascination with violence, torture and murder. Brianna thought the pair were her friends. She was referred to as It by Boy Y in WhatsApp messages. Her mum Esther spoke outside court.
Brianna was larger than life. She was funny, witty and fearless. We miss Brianna so much, and our house feels empty without her laughter. To know how scared my usually fearless child must have been when she was alone in that park will haunt me forever.
Girl X and Boy Y will be sentenced to life next month. The judge says she needs more information to decide on the minimum term they'll serve. Potential gay hate crimes in Australia between 1970 and 2010 weren't properly investigated by police. An 18-month inquiry into the New South Wales forces found the response to victims and their families was indifferent, dismissive or even hostile. The crimes include 32 suspected murders. Police were accused of taking a defensive and adversarial approach to the inquiry. Amongst other things, it's been recommended the force apologises, but it hasn't. And Grindr has been number crunching its user data and given us some very important and quite disparate stats. The LGBTQ+ social networking app, as it's officially described, because yeah, that's what it's for, says Germany has the highest percentage of armpit lovers. Not for me, thank you. France has the most geeks. The Netherlands comes top for leather lovers, and the app's used most in Thessaloniki in Greece. The best show, according to Grindr users, is the amazing Heartstopper. Still obsessed. It's Pride Daily for Festive Friday. Thailand's a bit closer to legalising same-sex marriage. Pretty much all members of the country's parliament have approved plans to redefine marriage as a union between any two individuals. The proposals would also give LGBTQ+ couples the same rights as straight partners. If they're endorsed by the King, Thailand would be the third country in Asia to recognise same-sex marriage after Taiwan and Nepal. Vitaya Sayang Aruns from the Bangkok Gay Men's Choir. He tells DW News equality's not a lot to ask for.
We don't want privileges. People misunderstand that and think we're calling for special treatment. But our community just wants to be treated fairly in everyday life.
Amnesty International says it's a moment of hope for LGBTQ+ rights. The organisation wants to see Thailand do more, though, on protections for trans and non-binary people. A promotional image of 2 men eating ice cream has been banned in Siberia due to its gay undertones. Alexander Tarasov, the chair of a culture committee in the city of Novosibirsk, says because they're licking the ice cream, it looks suspicious, and he reckons the picture's connected with non-traditional relationships. Russia's Supreme Court recently classified the non-existent LGBT movement as extremist. The country brought in a ban on what it calls LGBT propaganda last year. And more than a third of people living in Wales are at least a little bit queer. This is coming from Stonewall's Rainbow Cymru report. Cymru is Welsh for Wales, using information from the England and Wales census and stats from a polling organisation. It's found only 66% of people there are exclusively attracted to the opposite sex, and those aged under 35 are most likely to identify as LGBTQ+. I'm Kev McGrath. All next week, it's the Pride Daily A to Z of LGBTQ+ history. You're welcome. And don't forget to keep an eye on our socials. We're at Pride Daily UK. Thanks for listening this year. Please tell your friends about us. Don't be greedy. Happy Christmas.